What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another tips video or how-to video, whatever you want to call it, and we are going to be covering the new way to re-sign players and how free agency works in the new Madden 23 franchise feature. There was quite a bit of change. Some things still look similar, but a big change in terms of what we've seen in the past for Madden franchise. And I just wanted to do a quick run through, give you a little walkthrough on the different things that you can do with it and how to utilize it best to your advantage when you're doing your own franchises. I stopped here in week 8 because I wanted to also show the negotiation process with current players, because there's a few key details you have to realize when it comes to the players that you're negotiating with. This year there is the whole player motivations and player tags that are involved, and it also affects their decision making. Your team is going to affect those decisions based off of where they are from, the player, where your team is from, warm weather state, cold weather state, your current roster situation. Sometimes it'll be affected by if you have a franchise quarterback or not, and also how the team is doing. You know, like you can see right here in this Vikings franchise I created, we're 3-3. So will that help? Will it hurt? We don't know yet. It depends on the player. So first, let's take a look at the renegotiation process. And then here is the new look. So you can see it's a little bit more, it still looks similar to last year, but it just has a more, I think anyway, cleaner look to it. And it also tells you, you can see in that left area, the interest they have in re-signing. You can see here, there's a lot of guys who don't want to re-sign with the Vikings. It hurts my heart to see that, but you know, it just goes to show how much of a difference this can make for how your franchise can go and who you can expect to be in free agency. It shouldn't be the same as it always has been. And then here, this is the screen that you will see now instead of the last screen where it was pretty much just the player card with a little salary area. Now you get this whole different area where it says create a contract, and you can see everything that is affecting this decision here. If you look over on the right-hand side, it'll show you your position depth, which does play a factor into their decisions as well. You know, if it's a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson, of course, he's going to want to start. He's 28. He's a 78 overall. He's star dev. He does not want to be a backup. So that actually could be a good thing for us. He is the best player at his position for this team. You can also see here under player motivations, it'll tell you what he is looking for. And it'll tell you that, hey, we are a scheme fit for him. So that is a good high impact for him, which is sort of keeping his interest level up above that 50% mark. That's why it's in the yellow and not in the red. You can also see that the lack of franchise quarterback is affecting him, and then head coach historic record. So they're also going off of the history of your current coach. That's not a good thing for the Vikings, because while Kevin O'Connell might end up being one of the best coaches in the next few years, right now, he is an unproven talent. The franchise quarterback thing, this is where the player tags come into play too. You know how some guys will be the bridge player, the mentor, franchise quarterback, future starter. They're looking for that quarterback. Tomlinson is getting up there. He's maybe got one more good contract left in him before he's going to start regressing, and he knows it. He doesn't want to play for a team that does not have an established quarterback that can help them win games now. And these are the things you have to base your contract off of. And what I mean by that is, now if you look over to the left side, you can see here the little highlighted box says neutral, medium, risk. And you can cycle through these, and you have team friendly, player friendly, and very player friendly. Now, unfortunately, these do not seem to change much when it comes to the like back end, front end. Somebody just asked that, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, about front end, back end loaded contracts. Unfortunately, that is not here available in this game yet. But what it's doing is it's automatically adjusting your contract for you to tell you what is going to be risky, what's going to be a good deal. So neutral is right down the middle. You're not going to sway them with just the extra money you're throwing at them. You're offering them exactly what they want, but you're also, you know, you're not lowballing them either. If you go down to team friendly, you're going to see here, it says great for cap space. You're saving yourself some money. It was 8 million. Now it's 7.2. Keep an eye on the offer breakdown when we do this to see the difference in cap hit and how much you're actually paying out. And you can see the salary and bonuses changing here as well when we're doing this. But the player is unlikely to accept it. So now if you want a guy that's going to accept a team friendly deal, that interest level has got to be green. It's got to be through the roof. if they're not fully green, chances are they're never going to accept this deal because they know that they can go somewhere else and get that money. Neutral is another tricky one, especially with a guy who is not fully committed to coming back, because he's already thinking about other situations. Like, we ain't got no quarterback. You know, why would I want to come here for unless I'm getting paid top dollar? And then that's where the other two, the player friendly and very friendly, come into play. So if you look here, you're still at the 2-year mark, but you can see that if you look here, it's 2.9, 5.1. We go up to player friendly. Now that goes to 3.3 and 5.8. So pretty much a full $1 million. Now it's up to 8.86 million for the first year, 9.3 for the second. You're giving him more money to entice him to stay, which is what you have to do with some of these guys if you really want to keep them, if their interest is not too high on your team. And if you're really trying to convince a guy to stay that, you know, is thinking of leaving, you know, their interest level isn't that high, you can see that some of your motivations don't line up, your best option is to offer them the very player-friendly deal. And this is one that usually will be a little bit longer term, which raises the chance of acceptance, but you're going to be paying for it. It's almost a full million, 1.1 million less available in cap room to the neutral. You see right here, our remaining cap is 30.2. We go up here, 28.9. So we're going down a full million and some change. We're giving him an extra 3 years, and now his bonus is up to 6.3. It's a pretty big jump. It's a $500,000 jump in bonus. But if I truly want to keep Dalvin Tomlinson, that might be what I have to do. And you can play around with this. You know, if you want to, you'll probably get multiple chances, which is why it's fun to be able to do this for guys who are already on your team and actually pay attention during the season instead of just waiting till the end like some people do. I myself have done that before in the past, but you can't do that anymore because you don't know. I could throw neutral risk at him and he might take it. He also might tell me to kick rocks. I don't know. So what we're going to do first is just gauge the interest. We're going to go ahead and just make an offer of neutral and see what happens. I'm not considering shorter deals at the moment. So he didn't exactly like flip out. I've seen some guys like say some nasty things like, I'm not even going to look at that offer. What do you think you're doing? But he doesn't say that. And he has actually relative good interest. Same with Patrick Peterson. He's in the green. Now look at his motivation. He has a lot of the same stuff, but one very key difference is he wants to be the top of the depth chart. That's his most important part right now. He's 32. He does not want to be a backup. And you can see that he loves that here, that he is the bona fide starter regardless of what happens. And you can see that that interest level is shooting up even farther because of that. So with him, you can go ahead and offer neutral risk right away. Or if you really want to even try a team-friendly deal, which not very likely to accept, but you can at least toy around with it. You know, if that interest level is up there, go ahead and make a shot. Worst case scenario, they say no, you got to come back to the drawing board. And look at that. We offered him the team-friendly deal, and Patrick Peterson says, I'm going to stay because I like the situation, so he re-signs with us for a season. Now, in real life, like if this was actually my franchise, I would have never re-signed Patrick Peterson at that price because, of course, still the best course of action with especially guys who are above 30, wait until the offseason if you can, because they're going to drop in overall, and that whole situation could change. You know, he might realize he's not going to be the top guy anymore. He might not care about franchise quarterback. So some of these older guys you also have to play around with and say, you know what, I think we're going to hold off on this and see what happens in the offseason, because he might go from a 78 all the way down to a 74, and now you're going to have to lower your expectations at that point. The player is. So another thing to keep in mind when going through this process with trying to re-sign players. And now here's an interesting one. This is a young player, a good player with development. This is a good one to look at here. So you can see here, his motivations are a little bit different. He's still worried about the head coach historic record, but because it's 50%, it's not really impacting anything negatively or positively. It's just there. Historic championships, well, I'm sorry, Madison, but the Vikings don't have none. And you just made me say that. That's hurtful. But also the other one that we see a lot with players is warm weather state, and Minnesota is not warm. That is going to be a tough sell for a lot of teams who are playing in cold climates. It's going to hurt your interest from players, and you can see here his interest level is low. It also could be because he's not a starter. But so in this scenario, you almost have to go player friendly or very player friendly to try and get them to accept it. Now, this would require us to give him a 6-year deal. which is a lot of money. And then one thing I did forget to mention, and then I completely spaced on this, is you can still offer a custom offer just like the old days. You just have to go past that and go to custom offer, and you can change this however you want. If you want to overpay, you know, you can do all this. This is really just more of a guide for you to give you help without having to, you know, pay too much or too little without thinking about it. But you might want to give him a 5-year deal, and maybe you want to give him a big bonus. You know, you don't care what the offers, the fair offers say you should do. But again, if you're not somebody who's really savvy with their salary cap, or maybe doesn't completely understand it, I would really stick to what these settings are, because it can help some people who aren't as involved in the game as others, because some people just take this stuff too seriously, and I'm unfortunately one of them, but not everybody does that. And so this is just a way to help you try and handle your cap while also not making bad decisions for your team, just because maybe you don't care that much about the salary cap and knowing the ins and outs of it. But if you do, and you really know exactly what you want to do, or you just want to play around with contracts, go over to custom offer, change up what you're offering them, and just throw make offer. But for him, because of his situation, I'm going to do very player friendly. I'm going to see if we can get him to resign, even though it's very clear he doesn't really want to resign. And it says he's, you know, we're overpaying for him, and it's a very high acceptance chance. But I've seen in the past where these still get declined because it's just not meeting up with what they want. And he is happy to sign, which I did expect. He's not really done much so far in the league, so it makes sense. So we end up re-signing him. But yeah, and then this is what you can do for all of these players. I showed you a few different examples. Play around with it. You can see some guys with different schemes and, you know, different reasons why they're choosing what they're choosing. You know, some guys you're going to be able to get away with lower contracts with. Other guys you're going to have to overpay. And some you're just going to have to just bite the bullet and say, you know what, this is not something that can get done. You know, and that's the fun part about this, because gives you that realism a little bit. I'm not saying this is completely realistic, because we all know Madden has got a lot of work to do in that department yet, but this gives you that more of a human feel as well as they could right now. This gives you that better chance for a player to make a decision on their own rather than you making it for them, because in the past you could just sign players all you wanted. It didn't matter. Just overpay them a little bit by here and they'll take it every time. Now you can see if they're even interested in it, you know, and if you stick to that, you might be able to make some fun storylines out of the way for it. One other nice thing here too is I just simmed to the off season, and before we got to free agency, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. And you can see here that when you go back into the screen, it shows you the previous offer that you submitted, so you know your starting point already before you even look at a contract. So you can see here the previous offer we offered Dalvin Tomlinson was the 2.9 and 5.1 for the 8 million, just the basic neutral offer. So now what I can do is I can make sure that I go to player friendly, looking at, you know, the difference here at neutral. You can see here neutral and my previous offer was pretty much right in line. For some reason it has the salary different, but I'm pretty sure I clicked on this one anyway, but whatever the case. So now if I really want to bring him back, I will have to do the player friendly deal and see if that'll help him out. So here, let's try, since he was very keen on not signing before, let's try the very player friendly one with this one, since he's not really that interested, and see what happens. All right, he is available to re-sign. There we go. All right, and now we are in the offseason at the free agency period, and this was another big overhaul for Madden. Of course, in the past, you just offered as many contracts as you wanted, you hit sim, and then you found out whether or not guys would accept your deal. Well, and obviously everything looks different. You can see that there is the motivations tags. They're right a little bit on the right-hand side of the middle, and then also market watch and expected value on the far right. Now, if you look up top, you can also see two tabs, one that says active negotiations and eval period, and then also all players available, targeted, my signings, and signed. So what that means is now all of the players that were in free agency this year are going to stay in the all players tab, even if they are signed, right? They're not going to go anywhere. Available will be the ones who are still available to be signed and have not made a decision on a team. Targeted are players that you have chosen to target. Of course, I haven't made any offers yet, so you're not going to see anybody here. My signings, if you have signed anybody during this period, and then of course signed just in general will show here as well. Now, the new thing that is available, it is sort of limiting how many offers you can make per wave of free agency, and also has a new thing called eval period. Now, the eval period is basically like a force, like you are forcing them. And what happens is once you're done and you want all the players that have an offer to consider their offers, you can click L3 and you can see at the bottom middle it says eval offers 3 remain, and you can click L3 there, and basically all the players will make a decision on the offers that they have. Some will sign, some will not, even for your own offers. And it's a little bit of a way to actually get around the only offering 5 contracts at a time, which use that how you will. If you want to sort of offer more than 5, you can do that up to 3 times per period, which might be a little excessive, but it is nice to have that option just in case you have a 6th or 7th player that you want to offer a contract to right away, and you know that you can't wait till the next wave to do it because there's other offers on the table. Now, if we go back over to the market watch, you can see that it'll tell you if there's an offer from you on the table. And obviously I have not offered Derwin James any offer, but you can see that there's 2 teams interested, and it'll give you the expected value of his contract. When you go in here, it'll show you that he really has no interest in signing with us. And you can also see that a lot of the stuff that we have, he is not happy with. And look at that, no income tax. There's another new player motivation. Derwin James is from Florida, so he doesn't like that state tax and he doesn't want to go back to it. But here is a situation where if you want to sign him, you're going to have to probably offer very player friendly, considering you're not the only one offering now. Like in re-signs, you're competing with other teams, so you have to pretty much be the highest bidder if you want a chance at signing him. And of course, down here you can go through player like position by position. And another cool feature which I like is you can sort your list by people who are interested in you. So you can just, if you want, just bypass all people that are not interested in even signing with you and just go after the higher ones. Like Teddy Bridgewater here, he wants to come home. He wants to come home to Minnesota. Oh, it's just a scheme fit thing. Oh well. But so you can make decisions based off of that as well. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make some signings here just so you can get an idea of what you can expect. Like here is one thing you could look at doing. You could look at trying to bring in a guy like Dawson Knox. You can see that his motivations aren't exactly good, but you can also see that he has no offers on the table, which means you might be able to sneak in, and grab him as a player just because there's nobody others making offers to him. So I'm not going to offer him because our cap is absolutely horrid right now, but you guys get the idea. So let's go down here and let's just see. What about Max Williams? He's got a little bit more interest in us, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to offer him something here. Continue. And now you can see that I have 1 of 5 active negotiations. And if I go over to targeted, it's going to show him here. I'm the only team interested, and it'll tell you the top offers at that point. But only if you're in on the fun. Like, it's not going to show you their offers from other teams unless you are involved in that player. So let's go ahead and let's find a player that has offers from other teams so we can see where we rank with these other teams. Okay, so like JC Treader here has a lot of interest. Really would have liked if maybe my Vikings would have signed him before he decided to retire. All right, then just so that we can see where we stand with the other 19 teams, I'm just going to go ahead and make a neutral offer. He doesn't have very much. Actually, we'll do player friendly because he does not have much interest in signing with us. So now we'll go to targeted, and now you can see we're not even in the top 5. And this is the cool part about it is look at the Jaguars. They are considered the 3rd best offer, even though they have a full bar less in the offers category. So that might be due to either location, maybe certain other motivations that Treader has, maybe scheme fit, the other ones are not. So this gives those teams that aren't always in the running or always have the most money a chance at signing some of these players. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to go right here, and you can see that our 2 offers are on the table here, Max Williams and JC Treader. And I'm going to click L3 for eval offers, and then I'll show you what happens. You get this screen, players have evaluated submitted offers. And now targeted has nothing, which means that either we signed these guys or they signed elsewhere. And it looks like we were able to get Max Williams, but JC Treader signed elsewhere So then here we go to this tab, and you can see the players that were signed. Derwin James decided to go to Pittsburgh. Kareem Hunt has decided to go to the Falcons. And if you go all the way to all players, you can see here that it'll put a little X next to the status if they have signed with somebody, just to let you know that they have gone somewhere else already, but it'll still give you the option of knowing that they were available in free agency. So you can just track those things a little bit, you know? And the good thing too is you can also see that guys like Calvin Ridley, who had offers on the table, did not accept a contract yet. Some players will, some players will not. Just because you hit eval does not mean they're going to automatically accept the offers given to them. Just like when you would advance. Same with James Robinson here. He had that offer on the table. He must not like that offer very much, because otherwise he probably would have went with it. But he's trying to keep his options open, so he has not accepted yet. You know, so it's very different than what it was in the past. And I think this is a really good change for Madden as a whole. And then of course, you know, you can go here and you can do eval again. And you can see that now some other players have decided on where to go. And some guys just will not decide at all. They just don't want to make a decision. Calvin Ridley has decided now. He went to the Texans. Okay, Texans. When you do that eval period, it wipes out your active negotiations. So I technically could still offer 5 more contracts, which means that if you use the eval period, you can actually technically offer 20 contracts or 20 negotiations per cycle in the first period if you use the eval period, and you can avoid having to sim. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna sim the next week, and I'll show you what that looks like now. Now in week 2 or stage 2 of free agency, you can see that now your active negotiations are went up to 10, and your eval period is now back down to 0, which means you can use the eval period 3 times per wave of free agency. But players still make decisions when you advance the same way as they do if you hit eval period. So you can see now James Robinson finally decided he's going to go to Atlanta. Other guys have made decisions on where they're going to play next year. So it's a lot more, I think, a lot more cleaner and a lot better of a system than what we had in place already. And really, that's it. I'll show you what happens when you go to the next period, just to show you the difference in active negotiations quick. And then once you get to the last stage, you have unlimited negotiations. So, you know, essentially how they want you to run this is they want you to basically, in the first wave, sign your 1 to 2 big target players, right? Get that big money out of the way, key in on those main guys that you really want for your squad, right? Second wave, more of that, maybe some guys who fell out, didn't want to make a decision like you thought they would, that are still available. And then third, it's filling that roster, you know, filling in those depth guys, finding the guys that are hit or miss. So it's trying to create this real life scenario, because that's what happens in real life free agency. Now, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. But you want to know what, man? I gotta give credit where it's due. This is a right step for Madden. I hope they continue to build off of the player motivations and find ways to make it even more realistic, to give this franchise more life. Really, that's all I had for you guys. I just wanted to go through, show you guys the outcomes of how this works, so that in case you were maybe not quite sure of how to work this, that you feel a little bit better about diving into that free agency or diving into those re-signs and taking care of business in your own franchise. Make sure that you like this video if this helped you out at all, or drop a sub if you like what you see. I'll be putting out more of this stuff. Plus, of course, I have my Texans franchise going on right now. If you're interested in a long-term rebuild series, the Texans might be a good option for you to check out. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.